Hey guys, Darren here. Welcome to Mayhem Country Living. Hope you guys are doing all right wherever it is that you are. It's early morning, probably about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I wanted to kind of give you guys an update as to what has been happening with me. I haven't been able to post a lot of videos. I will tell you why. This is how I dodged a bullet, almost died, and went through my own personal SHTF. Still going through it. But as you can see, I am above ground. I'm very thankful. We went to the Gulf the end of last month, I think the 23rd. Had a good time down there, 3 days. Drove down, drove back. Did a little bit of driving, but it was nice. Came back, went back to work. I travel a little bit for my work, and so that day I drove, I think, 200 miles, and then the day after that I drove another 250 miles, stayed in Chattanooga till the end of the month, and came back and drove, another 250 miles. That was a lot of driving in a short period of time, and I think, or the doctors think, that from all of the driving, my prostate had become irritated or inflamed. Last Monday, it started hurting when I peed, urinate. Okay. And I know all the jokes, yeah, STDs, all that good stuff, blah, blah, blah. No, what an STD. I thought I'd had just a urinary tract infection, and so went to my doc in the box because I couldn't get into my regular doctor, and I told them what all was going on, and they said, okay. And so they gave me a prescription for antibiotics, and they drew blood, did urine cultures, and did an x-ray, and because they said it might be kidney stones, and I said, well, I've never had them before. And they said, when's the last time you gone into your regular doctors? I said, well, the month prior, in August, I had gone to my regular GP checkup, blood work, everything fantastic. Blood pressure is great and everything. I don't take any medication. And I said 2 months prior to that, I went to my urologist and had my yearly checkup, and to check my prostate and everything. I'm 55, and PSA was 0, no problems with the prostate. And he said, oh wow, you're on top of it. I said, yes sir. And it didn't get any better, and it hurt when I urinated, and no kidney stones, nothing in my bladder. And he said it's probably prostatitis, which is an irritation to the prostate. And I said, well, I have been driving. He said, well, excessive amounts of coffee in people over 55, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, yeah, I drink about 7 or 8 cups of coffee a day. And he said, that's not a lot. That's not terrible, but, maybe watch it. And plenty of fluids, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And that was, I think, on a Tuesday. And gave me a big shot of antibiotics in the butt cheek, and said, come back the next day, we'll do a recheck since you can't get into your regular doctor, and we'll give you another injection of antibiotics. Okay. Got a little better. Still hurt when I peed, or it was a problem when I peed. For you guys, you'll understand, no steady stream. How about that? Now, I went the next day, which is Wednesday, got another injection in the butt. Doctors checked me out again, and he said, your abdomen seems to be a little full. Are you urinating? I said, yes. I said, it is difficult. He said, okay. Are you taking the antibiotics? I said, yes. They gave me Bactrim, 10-day dose, morning and evening, and took that. He said, well, you really need to touch base with your urologist. I said, I've already got it scheduled, no problem, because I'd scheduled an appointment for Friday afternoon. And I managed to get an earlier appointment for that Friday morning. Well, Thursday goes around, and I'm really having a problem urinating. And then all of a sudden, there's no problem at all, but it's just copious amounts of urine. And I can't stop peeing. And then all of a sudden, I stopped peeing. Go figure. Started getting a lot of pain and pressure in my abdomen. I had quit urinating. Now, you guys know, and you ladies know, if you quit peeing, you die after a certain point of time. You know, renal failure, kidney failure, everything. And it was painful, very painful. And Shauna was saying we should probably go ahead and go into the ER and have them take a look and see if there's something they can do. And I said, no, I said, I've got all kinds of pain medications here, you know, we keep a stock. I'll just take something and it'll be okay. I don't want to have to do that and go to my regular doctor on Friday or my urologist on Friday. And she said, I think we really need to go. And finally I relented and we went to the emergency room, St. Vincent's in Alabama here. And by then the pain was excruciating. I had quit urinating, except just a very small amount, about every 10 or 15 minutes. My bladder had retained so much urine, I had 1,600 milliliters of urine in my bladder. Now, average male bladder holds about 700. And just to give you a comparison, this is a good thing, this is a good example, about that much urine was in my bladder from here to the bottom. This is 2 liters, it was 1.5 liters of urine that was in my bladder. That stretched my bladder horribly, and they said, we've got to do something. I said, yes, you've got to do something. I said, I need drugs and I need a catheter, urinary catheter. And he looked at me and he said, well, we'll look and see. And I said, make it quick, because it was hurting. And they did a CT scan, and they said, holy cow, your bladder is swollen to an incredible size. We're amazed it hasn't ruptured yet. So they took me back and introduced me to morphine. Morphine is good stuff. I don't know dosages they gave me, but I will say they gave me 2 ampules of morphine, and that took the edge off. And gave me the first one, I put in an IV catheter, all that stuff. They ran more blood work, more urinalysis, and they said, your blood work's great. Your urine, there's nothing in your urine. We think it's prostatitis. I carried all my paperwork into the doctor, and they said, we think it's prostatitis, but we got to put in a urinary catheter. They said, this is going to be painful. I said, no, it's not. Put it in, or give it to me and I'll put it in. And the doctor and the nurse kind of looked at each other and said, this is going to be painful. I said, not compared to what I'm going through. And they put in a urinary catheter, and then they gave me another ampule of morphine. Morphine is really interesting. It's like being wrapped in a hot, warm blanket to me, and it just pushes the pain into the background. And I laid there and they say, are you okay? This is a lot of morphine. And I was going, I can still feel it, but it's not as bad. And they put the urinary catheter in, got everything hooked up, put me on the bag, and out came 1,600 milliliters of urine. And the doctors looked at each other and the nurse, and they said, "That's incredible. We've never seen that much urine come out without bursting." And they said, "We're going to have to leave the urinary catheter in place till you go into your regular urologist," which was going to be in about 5 hours, because at that time it was 2 in the morning. I was feeling a lot better, and the morphine helped. And he said, "We're going to give you hydrocodone, whatever it was, to also help with the pain, because this is going to be a new experience for you." And it was. I'd never gone to an emergency room in my life, never been sick really. And they wheeled me out. My appointment for the urologist was at 10 the next day, Friday morning. So came home, got a little bit of sleep, went into the urologist, and he looked at all the notes, because it was like 10 pages of notes by this time from the other doctors. And he looked at it and he said, "I just looked at you a couple of weeks ago." And I said, "I know." He said, your prostate was fine." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, let's do blood work, urinalysis." We did all that again. He said, "Your blood work was fine." Oh, and while I was in the emergency room, right before they drained my bladder, my blood pressure had spiked to 190 over 170. And after they put in the IV catheter and gave me morphine, it dropped down to 140. Now, when they put the urinary catheter in and emptied my bladder, it had dropped down to normal, 120-ish over 80, something like that, which pretty good for me. My urologist looks at everything and he says, "They put in a urinary catheter." I said, "Yes." He said, "You had 1,600 milliliters of urine in your bladder." I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "Your bladder is stretched. It's just like a muscle. It is a muscle." He said, "So we're going to have to leave that urinary catheter in place and let your muscle relax. And then we'll be able to take it out and see what has been done and what's going on." I said, "Well, what caused it?" He said, "Be honest," he said, "it was probably your prostate had irritated around your urethra and had constricted." He said, "Why it did it, I don't know, because your prostate is healthy." He said, "It could have been the driving." He said, "Have you been apparently over-the-counter sinus medications can irritate your prostate." I don't take any of that stuff, but just so you guys, for your information, Afrin, Cyanide, Chlorotrin, stuff like that can irritate your prostate. Nothing. And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, we'll take a look at your bladder and we'll see." And so I have been stuck, literally, with a urinary catheter hanging out and a bag attached. I have to say, I've been very thankful. And so I've been taking antibiotics, Flomax, which is, I think, a smooth muscle relaxant that helps with the bladder spasm, something like that. And he says, "You're probably going to be on that probably for the rest of your life if this kind of problem happened." And this morning, they're going to take the urinary catheter out and see if I can pee on my own. How about that? So, and he said, if you had waited any longer, your bladder would have probably ruptured and you would have died. So thankfully, I listened to my wife, and I went into the doctor, because I was just going to take, a couple of Percocets or something and ride out the pain, because I didn't want to pay the co-payment for the emergency room. How about that? So it has been quite the adventure. Everything is okay. Blood pressure is great. you know, everything is flowing as it should be. But, guys, we all getting a little older. When your wife says maybe it's time to go to the emergency room, don't wait a day and then go to the emergency room. You know. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll give you an update for those of you who are interested and let you know whether they're able to do it, or the doctor said I might have to wear a urinary catheter for a couple of weeks until the bladder calms down, and then they'll take it out. But today I am hopeful because it's kind of annoying. Anyway, I am up, I am above ground, very thankful and appreciative that I listened to my wife and had a bunch of people praying for me. So we'll see. Take care of you people.